Hey campers, let's go fish.
Yeah, it's alright. Smaller than the first one I got.
So yeah, we got a couple things going.
Pike.
Maybe.
Yeah. Little guy. So it's kind of windy on and off right now. I'm using a crystal woolly bugger, about a number 6. bead head, and it's done pretty good. Better than I expected it to. The water is not really clear, but that's the one good thing about bass. You don't have to be delicate in the wind, and you let it come down to them. I'm using a irregular jerk just to bring the fly back to me, and by doing that with the bead head, it'll come up and drop down, come up and drop down. So hopefully it's enough to attract them. And then of course having the tinsel on there with the crystal, it's a good attractor. You get a lot of flash from it, especially when the sun comes out like now. And I'm just trying to keep it away from that edge there. There's a bunch of rocks there, but I know there is something hiding behind there. And there we go. That's the one I wanted. Oh, he's a fighter. Yeah, it's a pike. Should have known. At least he's a little bigger. I really don't like these fish. For one, they got big teeth. Oh, he's mad. Got himself all tangled up here. And there you see him. Well, they're biting, but the pike are here, so that's going to keep the small stuff out, and it'll also chase the bass. So hopefully we can catch us a nice bass, maybe get a big bass. I went with a bigger woolly bugger this time. Want to see if that'll help. So we'll keep at it. So I want to just come up along there, but not too close to the end, because you can very easily get snagged up there. And the water's kind of low. There's a lot of clam shells in the bottom. I've lost more than enough flies here. There is a trough down the middle here, and I know the bass like to sit in there because it brings all the food down that way. Problem is trying to keep it in that trough without getting snagged on the bottom. With a bead head is kind of difficult, and then of course without the bead head you can't get into the trough. I'm using a longer leader than I normally use. This is a 12-foot leader. I normally use a 9, but I thought I'd give it a try. When you first start fly fishing and you're really having problems with your casting, here's a tip. Put your fly in the water, bring it out, put it back in the water, bring it out, back in the water, and all the time you go forward, you just release your line. So you're going to go in the water, back out, and every time you do it, well, it's windy right now, but I'm fighting the wind, you get a little bit further out. You'll also get the feel of your rod and how it reacts to your bringing it back. You don't have to bring it all the way back. You don't want to go past 2 o'clock. So, and that little delay and back in, delay, back in, and every time I go a little bit further, and the better you get at it, the more accurate, and eventually you'll get the feel. You can bring it out, don't have to put it in anymore. Trick, watch your line. Obviously I'm fishing for bass. Takes quite a lot to spook them, so splashing in the water with a heavy fly doesn't really spook them. When you're going for trout and that, and you are fishing the top water with the dry fly, you got to put it on the delicate. The way to do that is watch my rod. See how that drops straight down. I'll stop the rod, and the line just falls down and it won't sink your dry fly. Obviously you want to keep above the water on top. Yeah! That's the third one in a row I've missed. Huh? Bass.
So I finally lost my fly. Normally when I'm out here, I go through a couple of flies simply because there's a lot of clams on the bottom, and they're sitting there and they have really sharp edges on them. Sometimes it feels like a bite when you catch them, so you give a strike and it just cuts your tippet, so you lose your fly. So far I've only lost one, which is a good thing. But I want to show you how typically I'll tie a quick tie on my fly. I use let's see what fly I'm going to use here. I want to stick with the crystal. With the sun gives a nice flash in the water now, so that's attracting the bass. So here I have a number 8 olive crystal woolly bugger with a bead head on it, and you can see the crystal in there. You can see that, and that really reflects pretty well in the water, which certainly attracts the bass and the pike as well. A fish is a fish, right? One thing I always do is, you can see the hook is here, and can you see the eye of the hook is actually bent that way. I always come in from the top of the fly. Fly sits like this, I put my leader in this side, so I start going through the top, and just like that, couple of turns. Just me, I do 9, which is quite a lot, but superstitious is what I am. Through the hole and back through itself again, and hopefully my tippet is good. There you go. And that's all I do, and then I just trim off the tip. Have it. Let's go fish again.
Another little guy. They're getting smaller. Don't forget to check your fly. Look how beat up it is. Straighten it up and dress it again. What I'm doing here is I'm working the water down here, going down the middle and coming up the edge here, and hopefully pick up somebody on the way around. But this wind doesn't make it easy. Trying different retrieves, different speeds, and you can see as I get into the middle, the flow picks up in the middle because of that trough. Yeah, they're definitely sitting behind the rocks and that in the shallow water here. These are little guys here along the edge. But they are beating this fly up. Oh well. Let's try and get in the middle there. Maybe the bigger ones are sitting in the trough now. Oh. Huh. That was interesting. So I'm hoping the sun's going to come out and then you get the real good flash off the crystal like that. Ah, foul hooked this guy. Oh, that's not good. No. Sorry there, big guy. The nice thing about these crystals, so when the sun breaks through, get good reflection off the crystal. That's when it works best. You'll notice it stopped biting when the sun went behind the clouds. Good looking guy.